The senator is the only candidate that isn't about leaning a particular way, but being true to yourself and fighting for what you believe, regardless of what the obstacles are.
Bernie Sanders has received 3 massive endorsements. So this news broke following last night's debate. Let me first go through the first endorsement here, which arguably could be seen as the biggest one. So the Washington Post broke this story. Senator Bernie Sanders to be endorsed by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, if you've actually followed AOC's story and know her politics, this endorsement really shouldn't be all that surprising. It's just more about the timing. The question was, when would she actually endorse Bernie? Now, I guess you could say there was some worry out there that she might pull an Elizabeth Warren, where even though they align on policy and ultimately, what they want to get done, that she may have held her endorsement until after the primary to give to either Warren or Bernie Sanders. But I think she made the right decision here, obviously. Now, also keep in mind, Elizabeth Warren had the Clinton machine against her in 2016. I think that's kind of what put the fear into Warren. And Warren, as I've discussed before, I don't think has the fight in her to really push back against the powerful, be it the Democratic Party establishment or massive corporations. But AOC here didn't have to worry about that kind of machine pushing back against her. Now, I guess you could say that that sort of establishment machine is always pushing back against her, as we've seen with Nancy Pelosi and her public, I guess you can say, kind of a feud with AOC at one point. But AOC here doing the right thing, and I'll get to later what I think the impact may be of these 3 endorsements. I'll get to the other 2. But this announcement, what appears to, I think it was supposed to be held until Saturday, but the news leaked and the story broke, so they made it official. And now on Bernie's page here for his New York event, rally in New York City with Bernie Sanders. Join Bernie and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Saturday, October 19th. So that's going to be at Queensbridge Park in New York. So if you're in New York, go to that event. It's going to be massive. And there's more. So not only did AOC, or the news break that AOC endorsed Bernie Sanders, but also Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib as well. So there was a story that broke that I saw on Twitter that broke the news, but Ilhan Omar really made it official this morning with this tweet. Proud to endorse Senator Sanders for president. Glad that AOC and Rashida Tlaib are on board too. It's time. So this is amazing. Now, again, before I get to my analysis on this entire thing, let me play Ilhan Omar's endorsement of Bernie Sanders.
I am so proud to endorse Senator Bernie Sanders for president. Senator Bernie Sanders is the only candidate that has built a movement and continues to build a movement that transcends gender, ethnicity, religion, and we know that in order to take on Trump, we're going to need a unifier, someone who understands what the fight looks like, and someone who is ready to defeat him. I'm one of the people that was inspired by the movement that the senator has built. There was an America that I dreamed about. There's an America that most people believe in. It is an ideal. It's not reality yet. And he started the work of organizing for that America. And that has inspired me to get involved and run myself to help others also organize for that America. One of the amazing things I think about the senator is that he understands we have to find solutions to our greatest problems. We don't wait for what the poll numbers are on proposing a particular solution. The senator is the only candidate that is proposing a complete cancellation of student debt. The senator is the only candidate that is proposing to provide universal school meals. The senator is the only candidate that wants to make sure that we end our endless wars and will fight for human rights and hold everyone accountable regardless of whether they are an ally or a foe. The senator is someone who understands that our movement isn't just for few, it's for everyone. The senator is the only candidate that isn't about leaning a particular way, but being true to yourself and fighting for what you believe, regardless of what the obstacles are. This is not just the fight for our lives, this is the fight for our democracy. This is the fight for a better future, one that we can all be proud of.
So that was a beautiful endorsement video. And I mean, there are so many pieces that I could pull out of there, but I want to just touch on how she mentioned here how a true leader essentially doesn't wait for the poll numbers. That's Bernie Sanders. That is a leader. That's what leadership is. I mean, people are so used to having these politicians that are just, just move with the wind, just go with the flow, and don't actually push for substantial change, don't actually push for real improvement, a real improvement in people's lives. Bernie Sanders has a 40-year record of being on the correct side of issues and being a leader on those issues, taking those positions before they were popular. Whether it was gay rights in the 70s and 80s, he held one of the first gay pride parades in Burlington, Vermont. Whether it's chaining himself to an African American woman when he was in his 20s in the 60s and pushing back against housing discrimination. Whether it's his long, 50, 40-year discussion on income and wealth inequality, or how he discussed climate change back in the late 80s. I mean, this is a man who has been on the correct side of issues, and that is leadership. That shows you that it is somebody who not only knows where things should go and will go, but also is willing to fight for those positions and actually be on the side of people against powerful interests. Bernie Sanders has an entire career of that. And to have Ilhan Omar, AOC, and Rashida Tlaib recognize that is important. And we're going to see how it's going to affect his support. So, first of all, I mean, you could say this is even kind of risky for them because there's Bernie's in the top three, but he's not leading right now. In most polls, it's either Biden or Warren. But Bernie's been in the top three consistently since the beginning. And you could say, well, there's no guarantee here that Bernie's going to win this nomination. But they came out and endorsed him at just the right time when he's in third, but Warren's jumping up and Biden's falling. They endorsed him at a time where he needed it the most, right after his heart issue. And this idea that, of course, the media has been saying this since the beginning, but of course, once the health thing came up, is the campaign over? No, he's only starting. And with these three massive endorsements, I think it will boost his support. Now, it's anyone's guess how much it's going to help him, but I think where it will help is the people that were supporting Elizabeth Warren, but also support Bernie Sanders, but thought, hey, we need a woman in the White House. And in these people's minds, while Warren and Bernie are basically the same, even though they're not, but this endorsement shows them that they are not the same. So if you're somebody that supported Warren because you thought, hey, I guess it's Warren's time, even though I like Bernie, but it's time for Warren. You have these three, you have the squad endorse Bernie Sanders. That turns that around. That now makes the discussion about, hey, why did these three incredibly popular Congress people, why did they endorse Bernie Sanders over Elizabeth Warren? And then you see an endorsement video like that. That says it. Bernie is a fighter. He will actually fight for you. He is not afraid to go up against powerful interests. He has shown that again and again, whether it was him challenging the Clinton machine in 2016, whether it's him pushing back against Amazon and getting them to raise their wages to $15 an hour, whether it's him pushing back against Walmart, against Disney, getting Disney to raise their wages. This man is a fighter, and he's been doing this as just a congressperson and a senator. So imagine the power that he would have to help people as president. Now, the other thing here, I think it's important to note that this also allows Bernie eventually, at some point, to pass the torch to the next generation of people that will fight for you. This endorsement is only going to help their careers. This is going to help Tlaib, Omar, and AOC, because it's going to show you that they were on the correct side of history. And going into the future, in 8 years, 9 years, hopefully after Bernie's been president for 2 terms, you have 3 Congress people here who are in a perfect position to run for president themselves. So they're going to have the movement on their side because they were there with Bernie when it mattered. This endorsement, or these three endorsements, are huge, and I can't wait to see how the race unfolds after this.